What's going on, everybody? My name is Venatix. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, Rainbow Six Extraction is currently down. It's in maintenance because it's being updated today, March 16th. It's been down since 10 a.m. Eastern time and it should be available after about 2 hours more or less. But this video is to talk about what's coming in this update because there's a bunch of new stuff and changes that you don't want to miss. So this patch notes are very important for this update. So there's going to be new Archaean variants and parasite mutations, as well as a bunch of minor changes affecting operators, abilities, weapons, etc. So let's jump right into it. So we do have the new Archaean variants. As you see here in this picture, we got the Storm Spikers, the Feral Grunt, and the new Smoker variant Archaeans. Let's talk about those. So the Feral Grunt is a new type of grunt that pretty much is faster, does more damage, slightly healthier, and can jump off of walls. Basically, you want to kill them. They still have a weak spot in the head. They act like a grunt, but they're just like on steroids. Now, the Storm Spiker is just like a Spiker, a different variant of it, if you will, but it shoots a homing projectile at you, but they are able to get destroyed in midair. You can just shoot the projectiles in the air, and eventually they will have to reload where they're going to kind of bend down and put their fist into the ground to reload. That's going to be the best time for you to kill a Spiker. Now, their weak spot is still going to be their head, same with the Grunts. Now, the Smoker is a new one, very similar to the Breacher and Bloater, except for this time it's purple, go figure, just like all the other new variants. But this one actually leaves a smoke, which apparently does do damage to you, which I didn't know that at first, but apparently it says so here in the patch notes. But you won't be able to see through the smoke. It's going to actually cloud your vision entirely, but the enemies will be able to see through it, which might actually be pretty difficult because enemies will be able to shoot through it, like Tormentors, Apex, etc. So be careful with that one. Probably want to start bringing in Lion more often. Now, there are some new parasite mutations. Remember, like Sludge, Blinding Spores, stuff like that? Well, now we have new ones. We have revived Archaeans. All enemies are reanimated after death. Obliterate them to keep them from coming back. Spontaneous Blinding Mines. Archaeans leave behind blinding mines when they die. Obliterate the enemy to prevent blinding effects. Spontaneous Exploding Mines. Archaeans leave behind exploding mines when they die. Obliterate the enemy to quickly prevent mine drops. Now, I have no idea what this exploding mine is because we have yet to ever seen that in the game. So that is something completely and entirely brand new to Rainbow Six Extraction. Now, for another mutation, we have the Archaean Havoc. The enemy can breach destructible walls and obstacles instantly. Plan your defense tactics accordingly and be wary that your usual defenses won't be enough. So I can see this one being extremely challenging on those where you have to defend, like triangulation or what is it, sabotage, shutdown, like. Those ones can be crazy. And then the last one is the Immortal Smasher. The Smasher is completely covered in carapace and won't take any damage. It has no weak points, so you do not want to engage. So the real question about that one is, will it be aggroed at the start, or will you have to stealth around it and try to avoid him at all costs? And then let's say you do alert the Immortal Smasher. Does he chase you forever, and does he alert the enemy nest around it? I have zero clue. I will find out more about that, guys, and you'll see that in a video as soon as I can actually encounter one of these Immortal Smashers, that's for sure. Now let's get into the actual changes that this game has to offer with this update. So we have React Tech first. Arc mines can no longer be picked up after detonation, which is common and shouldn't have been an issue. That sounds more like a bug fix to me. The XR Recon drone will now consistently scan solar mines. It sounds like obviously they weren't picking up all the mines. Now they will be able to, and now it'll be interesting to see if they will pick up the other mines too, the new exploding ones as well. Now the React Laser will reward XP for destroying solar mines. I guess they didn't do that before, I had no idea. And the Glue Grenade's area of effect, AoE, will now last 4 seconds. Of course, they don't tell us how long it lasted before, so I'm just assuming that this is a buff. I'd hope so, because the Glue Grenade in general is not very good, so hopefully they made it better. Then it says the Glue Grenade will consistently clear an area of visual effects such as smoke. Interesting. Oh, it will clear an area of visual effects. So the smoker right there, you shoot a smoker, it explodes and you can't see, throw a glue grenade down on the ground and apparently it's going to clear the area. So they're definitely trying to make the glue grenade more viable because right now it's not. Definitely will have to try that out again. ADS feedback will now display on scanned enemies through visual effects such as smoke. And the auto turret will now target Archaean tree anchor points and fuel cells. So that's nice. Scan grenades, scan mines, recon vapor devices, and IQ's ability now consistently reveal cloaked Archaeans. Hallelujah freaking Luya. That was a major bug that I continuously had all the time, and I'm so glad, and I hope it really is fixed with this update. Now, it looks like they have updated a few weapons. They've updated the MK14 EBR, which is like Vigil's gun. They added more scopes, the 1.5, the 2 times, and the 2.5 times, so that's actually awesome. And the same thing for the HK417, which is a gun that Lion has, Rook, and I think Doc too, or a couple of those guys, you know who I'm talking about. They also now have scopes of 1.5, 2.0, and 2.5, so I can definitely see myself using the 1.5 or 2.0 now, because I felt like the 3.0 was probably a little too much. So I typically use the holographic, but now I will 100% be using the 1.5 or the 2.0. And they also are adding the 1.5 scope to the MP5K, which is consistent with Siege, I believe, if I remember correctly, which is nice. I don't know how many people really use the MP5K, so that's just a minor change that doesn't really affect me personally. Now the menus, they added a couple different things here. The right arrow key can now be rebound. The Maelstrom headgear expiry timer will now display the correct time. That's good because that confused a lot of people. Fix an issue causing certain languages to display incorrectly in game chat, and assigning the shoot action to the R1 button on PS5 will now work correctly. Incursions, when an active study requires a specific Archaean archetype, the chance of that archetype spawning is increased. Hallelujah. For those brand new players who are trying to do their studies, you guys are so lucky. Before, man, when you had to kill sludge, you would like never get sludge, but it looks like now they're changing it so that you have a better chance of getting them, which is great. All parasite mutations can now appear during incursions from the cautious difficulty level onwards. Archaeans will now no longer spawn in the ceiling, preventing the completion of the clear high density zone objective and kick the anthill. That's nice. And in the hunt objective, you will no longer be required to defeat apexes in order to attract the elite target. So there you go. The hunt objective has now become much, much easier. You no longer have to kill apexes in order to do that. Now, talking about some operators here in general, players will no longer lose the ability to perform actions after interacting with an object at the same time as another operator. That's good. I've actually experienced that bug before during Maelstrom Protocol, where two of us went to click the airlock at the same time, and then I got stuck and couldn't move, and we had to quit the game. Transitioning to aim down the sights, aka ADS, with the angled grip attachment equipped will no longer cause a delay in firing, and operators will no longer be displayed with the suppressor attachment when it is not equipped. So I have seen that visual bug as well. Sometimes, like when you select your operator, it shows that you have a silencer on, but then you don't. So that's nice. Lion's EE1D will now detect moving sludge after it separates. And the caution, risk, and crush death headgears for Lion no longer have the same design. So it sounds like they tweaked some of his in-game cosmetics for Lion. Capital's alpha skin is now consistent with his Rainbow Six Siege uniform. Nomad, the Arms of Nomad's Polar Venatix uniform, now displayed correctly. Hibana's Excaros pellets will now always cause damage if detonated on a smasher's face, and the legs of Hibana's Cosmopolis uniform now display correctly. Jaeger's ADS will no longer target spores attached to Archaeans instead of the Archaeans themselves. That's a good fix, because that pretty much rendered Jaeger useless on the Blinding Spore mutation. I'm glad that has been resolved. Pulse's cardiac sensor will no longer fail to detect nests on higher walls or ceilings, and Pulse's cardiac sensor will no longer fail to detect MIA operators or VIPs. Zophia's level 7 advancement description display information is corrected, so they've made a minor adjustment there to what it actually does. Zophia's impact grenades will now result in the correct knockback reaction on all Archaean archetypes. Sophia now restores 5 HP and 70 temporary HP after using the withstand ability. Guys, you'll have to let me know in the comment section below if that's a buff or a nerf. I honestly don't remember. Once I leveled Sophia up to 10, I haven't played her since. I'm not quite sure if that's a buff or not, or a nerf. Gridlock players are now able to place a ping over a deployed track stinger. I guess that's nice. Finka can now use her Adrenal Surge when down from level 1 advancement. So it sounds like a major buff for Finka there. And then Finka's level 10 advancement now gives a boost of 4 HP per second up to a max of 40. Again, I play Finka a lot, but I just don't pay attention to that detail enough to know. So let me know in the comment section below if that's a buff or a nerf. Tachanka's ammo gauges will no longer occasionally be occluded on deployed mountain LMGs. That's for the operators. Now for enemies general, the damage multiplier of automatic shotguns against rooters and SOAR weak points have been increased. Awesome. Automatic shotguns getting a buff. That's great. SOAR, fix an issue with SOAR Mine's hitbox. SOARs will now be slightly more aggressive and flee less during combat. Great. I already hate SOARs as it is, and now they're going to be even more annoying. Elite SOARs will now perform melee attacks when operators are in close proximity to them. SOARs which spawn during defensive objectives will no longer plant SOAR mines on the way to the objective. And then last but not least is the Lurker. Lurkers will be more aggressive in combat if there are multiple other Lurkers in close proximity. So there you have it, folks. That is the patch notes, the updates for today's update, March 16th. Brand new Archaeans, mutations, updates, minor fixes, bug fixes, buffs, and nerfs, etc. in today's stuff. Stay tuned for a live stream tonight, and stay tuned for other videos testing out the Immortal Smasher as well as seeing these new enemies in-game. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.